Faced a manslaughter trial in the New South Wales Supreme Court, which heard that in May 2023 he was called to Yallambee Lodge in Cooma, where 95-year-old great-grandmother Claire Nowland had been wandering that facility with 2 knives. Now, when Senior Constable White arrived, she still had one
criminal
knife with her, and he and paramedics found her in a treatment room of that facility where there was somewhat of a standoff. Now, Senior Constable White warned Mrs. Nowland several times to drop the knife, but last year during the trial we saw body cam footage and CCTV showing her slowly using her walker to move towards the door. Eventually, Christian White says, "Nah, bugger it," and used his taser. That caused Mrs. Nowland to fall backwards, and she died a week later from an inoperable head injury. Now, today on sentencing day, the main question was whether the judge saw this as a case where the threshold for a custodial term had been passed. Justice Ian Harrison has found that this case represents circumstances on the lower end of objective seriousness. And he said that general deterrence in terms of deterrence towards police officers who might find themselves in similar circumstances plays only a minor role in his sentencing exercise. But there were many competing factors here. The Crown prosecution had pushed for Christian White to serve time in custody, saying that general deterrence was important. But his lawyers insisted that he was remorseful and was responding to what he perceived as a threat posed by Claire Nowland at the time. Now, Justice Ian Harrison has sentenced Christian White to a 2-year community corrections order, which means he won't spend any time behind bars. As part of that order, he's required to serve 425 hours of community service, and there are standard conditions attached to that order. For Claire Nowland's family, this result has come as a shock. Outside court, one of her relatives said it's a slap on the wrist.
Obviously, it was really disappointing for the family because it was, well, a slap on the wrist for someone that's killed our mother, and it's very, very hard to sort of process that, and that's why, you know, like me speaking now, very emotional. It's hard to sort of process that decision.
Christian White made no comment to the media as he left with his partner and got into a waiting car. But his lawyer, Warwick Anderson, said he and his family are feeling very relieved.
They haven't lost sight of the tragedy that Mrs. Nolan, and their thoughts are very much inside after the result with the Nolan family. They're going to now take their time and move on with their lives.
While he was handing down this sentence, Justice Harrison said Christian White made what was, on any view, a terrible mistake. But he also said in calling it a mistake, he was not trying to downplay or dilute the seriousness of the consequences here, being the death of 95-year-old Claire Nowland.
No justice in Australia.